Two particular sets of attacks we're concerned about at this moment in time. One is criminal cyber attacks against the hospital chain. It had real impact. Rural clinics closed, some hospitals in 3 states turning away ambulances and canceling elective services. That's done by criminals, and the White House has pushed out guidelines on how to tackle that. Second set of attacks we're tracking is an increase by Iran in cyber attacks against 10 water systems in this country. And in a similar way, there are basic cybersecurity practices like changing default passwords and limiting administrator account access that could prevent those attacks being successful.
So that is officially, though, the line from the White House that Iran was behind these 10 attacks against water treatment facilities here in the United States.
It is, but I want to be clear, each and every day, American companies, critical services are facing persistent cyber attacks, and we absolutely need to do more to lock our digital doors to defend against them. Yes, sometimes in periods of crises we'll see an increase in a particular type of attack, but every single day we have too many unlocked doors and open windows in our digital cyberspace.
Yeah, that specifically, the plant in Pennsylvania that I mentioned outside Pittsburgh, the Municipal Water Authority of Aliquippa serves about 15,000 people. We have no reason to believe that anyone is at risk. Are they just trying to let us know what they can do, Ann?
Absolutely. No one is at risk. The attack had minimal impact. The water system is operating the water system manually.
What's the response then? Is there an answer from the administration to an attack like this?
So there's an us and a them. And the first response needs to be to absolutely lock our digital doors against these attacks. So for example, in the case of the water system, just last year, EPA issued a rule putting in place minimum cybersecurity practices, things like changing default passwords, things like removing or limiting the accounts administrator access have. That rule faced litigation and had to be pulled back, but there is absolutely nothing preventing every water system in this country. It doesn't cost any money to change default passwords, to put in place those basic cybersecurity practices. So that's the first part. There's the us part of this, which is to say we have to lock our digital doors. And then of course there's the them piece. And from a US government perspective, there are actions we're taking every day, taking down digital infrastructure, ensuring that we're following the trail of who is responsible for that and handling it appropriately.
How about just remove the door? I know you want to close the door, but should these facilities be online at all? How about we take all this equipment off the internet, Ann?
It's a great question. There are real reasons to automate operations across critical services, whether it's water systems, whether it's rail systems. We believe that can be done securely and safely, and that's why the White House and the US government, FBI, CISA, have been pushing out practical cybersecurity guidelines so we can get the benefit of new technology, improve the services, critical services are available to American citizens, but do so in a safe and secure way.
We're spending time talking with Ann Neuberger, who works inside the national security apparatus in the White House with a specific focus on cyber, which many would say is the new frontier here. And this is the question you probably don't want to answer or cannot answer. Does the United States have offensive capabilities to go after bad actors in a place like Iran when it comes to cyber?
Every capable nation in cyberspace is using every tool possible. The first and most important tool is defense. Absolutely. The US government also has capabilities when necessary to go on offense, but I can't emphasize enough how much the most important thing to do is to close our doors and lock our windows. I think, in some parts of the country, people feel safe leaving their car keys in their car. In cyberspace, we face persistent criminal attacks each and every day. We don't need to wait for sophisticated countries because there is the basic cyber attacks that we can defend against and be better protected against by following the cybersecurity guidelines, which the US government is pushing out actively, the resources we're making available. We're absolutely committed to ensuring every American and every critical service is safe online, but we need the partnership of those owners and operators to work with us to put in place these practices to ensure we're safe online.
So I need to change my 123 ABC password, I guess is what you're going to tell me, Ann Neuberger. I'm on it. I wonder in your role, because this is relatively new for a lot of our viewers and listeners, what it is that you actually do at the White House here, and the balance of distributing policy to actually pushing guidelines when it comes to managing utilities like these or other public facilities that could be targets?
Absolutely. The president has made securing digital infrastructure an absolute priority. And there's a few parts to that, right? One part of that is tracking the threat, understanding who are the countries who are capable, what are the roles criminals are playing, what's financially driven crime, who are the countries harboring those individuals. That's one piece of it. So we really understand the threats we face as a country. The second piece of it is saying, what do we need to do to be most effective? There's the policy level, for example, the minimum cybersecurity practices that the administration has put in place for pipelines, for aviation, for rail, so that those sectors are doing the basics they need to do so that they can be confident their operations are safe online. And then there's the resources, the guidebooks, the fiscal resources that the administration has made available as well to help small and medium companies, state and local governments make the most of the resources they have to be safe as well. And then there's the international partnership. So last month, for example, the end of October actually, we brought together 50 partners, 48 countries, Interpol, the International Police Force, and the European Union to talk about how we tackle the transnational cybercrime threat together. Things like how do we trace crypto, the payments, the ransom payments that are fueling criminal activity around the world? How do we identify the infrastructure and take it down? And how do we ensure that countries around the world who may be less capable know how to do forensics, know the best and the most effective cybersecurity practices? And finally, the role of tech companies in building more secure tech to make it easier to use that tech safely. So not only are we focused in understanding the threat, doing what we need to do at home with our partners, but also working around the world because it's such a transnational threat.
Yeah. And from your perch at the White House, you look down Pennsylvania Avenue and that big old building in the U.S. Capitol where they have a lot of work to do, a lot of unresolved issues to manage before year end. And this could be anything from funding our allies to the government, certain renewals at the end of the year. I wonder to what extent the actions or lack of action by this Congress impacts the national security of our country.
The Hill is a key partner in so many initiatives. So for example, in the area of artificial intelligence, an emerging technology area that has real promise in helping us build more secure code and helping us find malicious cyber activity, and also real risk in terms of potentially accelerating criminals and countries finding and exploiting vulnerabilities. You see the work that Leader Schumer is doing to convene, to understand, to think about the regulation needed in that space, building upon the president's historic executive order, building upon the voluntary commitments the White House negotiated with companies. So I think that's an area where we're seeing, and in cyber more broadly, really bipartisan partnership to take on the threats that Congress can uniquely take on and address.